In this video, we'll be seeing how to implement RecyclerView in Android. You can see that we are loading an image view and a text view. We are actually fetching the data from an API and we are loading the image from a URL. So we'll be seeing how to fetch the data from the API and how to parse the JSON data, and we'll be implementing the RecyclerView after that. So we'll be seeing the implementation for all this in this video. You can also see that when we click on the cards, you can see a toast message. So we'll be seeing the implementation for all this in this video. We have created a new empty project. First of all, we can add the necessary dependencies to our Gradle script. So for that, you can go to this website. I'll give the link for this on the description. And we have to add the volley to our project. Copy the dependency and you can paste it inside the build.gradle file. You can see that inside Gradle scripts. Okay, the second one. And scroll down, you can paste it inside here. Now you can click Sing Now. After adding volley, we have to add Picasso. For that, we have to go to this GitHub page of Picasso and we have to add the dependency. So copy this and you can paste it here. I will give the link to all this in the description. You can check that out. Now you can click Sing Now. Okay. Now we have added the volley and Picasso library to our project. We'll be using volley to fetch the data from our API and Picasso to show the images. Okay. So you can close the build.gradle. Now you can go to res layout and inside that you can create a new file. List_item and go to the split mode. We can change the parent layout. We can keep it to card view. Okay, inside this we have to create a linear layout. We can set an orientation for the linear layout. And you can also give a gravity to center. Now inside this linear layout, we can add an image view and a text view. We can give an ID for the image view. Now you can give a demo image. I have given the default icon background. You can simply download an image and keep it inside the drawable folder and you can give that here. Okay. Now we can give a text view. We can give an ID for the text view as well. Now we can give an gravity to the text view and also change the text size. Let's give a demo text. Okay, now this will be our item. So this is how the cards will look inside the RecyclerView. You can design it according to your need. Now we can go to the main activity Java file. And here we'll be fetching the data from our API. You can see that I have already created an API and it is printing an JSON response. You can see we are having name and image. Now we'll be showing this name and the image on our card view. Okay. So this is the demo link. So let's copy it from here. And here we can create a variable that is for storing the API link. Now after this, we have to go to the Java and create a new class. Let's name it list data. Now inside this, we have to create two strings, that is the name and the image. Now we have to set a constructor for this class. Inside this, we will initialize these private values with the data that is passed when we call the class. Okay. Now we can create getter and setter for these variables. You can see suggestion for the getters when you type G. So let's add the getter for image and the name. Now let's add setters. Simply type S and you can see the suggestion. Okay, now we have added the getter and the setter for name and image. Now we can go to the main activity.java file, and here we have to create an object for the array list. Now this is an array list with the class, that is this one, and this class contains the name and the image. Okay, let's create an object. Now we can initialize the object inside the onCreate method. We have to fetch the data from the API, that is this URL. So for that we have to use the Google Volley. So that's why we added the Google Volley. Now we can create a function for that. So go outside the onCreate method and create a function fetch data. Now inside this we have to implement the Google Volley. Now for that you can go to the website that I have given in the description. You can see inside this website you can scroll down and see the code for making a GET request. Copy this much and you can paste that inside the function. Now we have to import all the classes. So click on the red and type Alt Enter. Now you can see an error here for the text view. You can simply remove that. And let's add error dot print stack trace. That's all. Okay, now you can remove the toss message inside the on response. Simply remove that. Okay, now we have to change the URL here. So you can simply remove this line from here because we are already giving the string on the top. Okay, so this is the variable. Now we can use that variable here. You can see this red. So change that to API URL. That's all. Now we are making a GET request to the URL, that is this URL. Now after that we can create another function to parse this JSON data. So we are getting this as a JSON string. Okay, now we have to parse this and we have to add the data to this array list. So let's create a function. Now for this function we have to accept a string. So add string and we can give the name for the variable. Now let's open the API inside the browser and check the output. We can see that we are having the JSON output. Now you can see we are having a JSON array. Then we are having the objects. This is one object and this is the another object. Okay, so we are getting the JSON array first. So we have to create an object for JSON array. Inside this you can give data. Okay, now you can see a red here. So you can click here and type Alt Enter. Now you can see we have to surround it with try catch. Simply click here. Okay, that's all. Now hit enter inside the try and we have to create a for loop. Now this for loop will iterate till the length of the JSON array. Okay, now inside this we have to get the objects. For that create an variable for the JSON object. Now inside this get JSON object function, you have to pass the index, that is this I. Okay. After this you can access the data, that is the name and the image. So let's create a string for the name and the image. Now we can access the name equal to, now the JSON object dot get string. Inside this we have to pass the key name, and our key name is name. Now if you have any confusions, you can change this variable name to full name. Okay, and change this to full name. Okay, and you can see the key name, that is this one, and this one is the key name. I will show you where you can find that. Open your JSON string and you can see this name. Okay, this is the key name, and we are having two names, that is name and the image img. Okay, now let's access the image like this. Change this to image and change here to img. That's all. Now we are having the data that is fetched from the API. Okay, now we have to create an adapter for the RecyclerView. Now for that you can go to the Java and create a new class. Now you can name it RecyclerView adapter. Now here you have to extend the RecyclerView, like extends RecyclerView dot adapter, and inside that we have to call the class name, that is RecyclerView adapter dot. We have to create another class and we'll be creating that later on. So let's name the class first of all. Okay, we have to create this view holder class. Okay, now we can create that right now. So copy the name, and inside this you have to hit enter and create a class, that is public static class, and let's paste the class name, and you have to extend this with RecyclerView dot view holder. Okay, now you can see that this is our class name, that is this class name, and this one here is the one inside the RecyclerView. Okay, so don't get confused among them. Okay, now inside this class we have to create a constructor. Now you can go above the constructor, and we have to create objects for image view, text view, and the card view. Now inside this constructor we can initialize them. Now you can see that I have given the ID of the image view. If you click on control and click using the mouse here, you can see we are taken to the ID, that is the image view here. Now you can see we are giving the ID for text view and image view, and we also have to give the ID for the card view as well. So let's give the ID here. So ID, and we can simply keep it to card view itself. So this ID part is very important. If you don't do this correctly, you will get errors. Okay, now go to the RecyclerView adapter, and we have to initialize the object text view and the card view. You can see that I have given the correct IDs for the text view and the card view as well. So you have to make sure the IDs are correct. Now we are done with this class. Now inside this main class, we have to create a constructor. Now on the top, we have to create objects for the array list. Inside the constructor, this dot list data equal to list data. That's all. Now we are setting the data from the constructor to the variable here. Okay. Now we can go below the constructor and we have to override two functions, that is on create view holder and on bind view holder. So let's create them. You can see the suggestion here. So select this one. Okay. Now you have to make sure that you are selecting the correct one. Now inside this, you can remove this return null. And here we have to inflate the view, that is inflate. Okay, layout inflator. Create an object equal to layout inflator dot from, and here you have to pass the context of the parent. So parent, we are getting the parent here. You can see that here. Dot get context. That's all. Okay, now we have to create a view, that is view equal to layout inflator, the object dot. Here we have to call the function inflate. Inside this we will be passing our view, that is this one, list item. Okay, r dot layout dot list item. Okay, now give a comma and pass the variable parent, and now we can pass false. Okay, that's all. Return new view holder. Inside that we have to give the view. After that we have to call the on bind view holder. Let's scroll to the top. Okay, on bind view holder, this one. Okay, now we have added that. Now inside this we can create an object for the list data, and here we can get the list data dot get position. Okay, now we can set the text view like holder dot text view, this one, dot set text, and inside that we can access the data like list dot get name. Okay, now we are setting the name to the text view, and then we can load the image. Now to load the image we will be using Picasso, so that's why we add Picasso. So Picasso dot get dot load. Okay, now inside that we have to pass the image URL. So we'll be getting the image URL inside list dot get image, and after this we have to use dot into. Now we have to pass the holder dot image view. Okay, now this means we'll be loading this image URL into this view. Okay, this is the image view. Okay, and this is the URL of the image. Okay, that's all. Now we have to create an on click listener for the card. So for that, holder dot card view dot set on click listener, new on click listener. Okay, now inside this we can show a toast message. We can show the name as the message. So for that, list dot get name. Okay, now after that, toast dot length, let it be short. Okay, dot show. Okay, that's all. Now I think we are done with the implementation. Now you can see an error here. So if you hover over this, you can see the error message, that is we need to implement the get item count function. So for that you can simply click here and you can see the function. Click OK. Now you can see this line has been added. Okay, so we have to remove this 0 and we have to return list data dot to array dot length. Okay, that's all. So you have to add this, that's all. Okay, now we are actually done with the implementation of the adapter. We can go to the manifest and add the permission for internet, otherwise we'll forget about that. Uses permission, internet, close it, alt enter, collapse, empty tag. Okay, now if you are having an HTTP URL, you have to add clear text traffic, okay, and set it to true. If you are having HTTPS, you don't have to add this, otherwise you have to use this. Okay, that's all. Okay, now let's close this manifest. Now we can go to the main activity.java file. Now we can go to the top inside the function fetch data. We can see on response. Now we have to call the function, that is parse JSON, and here we have to pass response. Okay, now we are calling this function from this function. Okay, now let's go to parse JSON, and here we have to add the items to the list. So for that you can call array list dot add. Now we have to create new list data. Inside that we'll be passing the full name and the image. Semicolon, and that's all. Now we have to go outside the for loop. You can see that we are inside the for loop. Now go outside the for loop, and here we have to create an object for RecyclerView equal to find view by ID r dot id dot, and we have to create the RecyclerView first. So for that you have to go to the activity main.xml file. We haven't done the main part, so go to the activity main.xml and go to split mode. Now here you can change the parent layout to linear layout. You can set an orientation. Okay, now we can remove the text view from here, and we can give the recycler view here. Match parent and match parent. Now we have to give an ID for the recycler view. ID. We are giving the ID recycler view itself. Okay, now we can set the scroll bar vertical. Okay, and that's all. Now we can go to the activity main Java part, that is main activity.java, and here we can give the ID that we just created, that is recycler view. Okay, we have initialized the object for the recycler view. Now we can create an object for recycler view adapter equal to new recycler view adapter. Inside that we have to pass the array list, that is this one. Okay, now we can set some constraints to the recycler view. Now we have to set the layout manager. Then you can set the adapter, that is RecyclerView dot set adapter. You can pass the adapter, that is RecyclerView adapter. Okay, now that's all. Now we can call this function. So come to the onCreate function, and here we have to call fetch data. Okay, that's all. You can run the app and check. You can see that the app has opened, and you can see in the recycle view we are only having one item, but we are passing two items. So let's go to the list items .xml, and here you can see that we are having the height and the width to match parent. So let's change the height to warp content. Now let's try running this again. Okay, now let's wait for the image and the items to load. Okay, you can see the image view and the text view. We are having two cards, so we can give some margin for the cards so it will look better. So go to the card view and hit enter here. Margin, let's add a margin of 10 dp, and let's try running it again. Okay, now you can see it is loading. You can add a progress bar so you can show the progress of the loading. I haven't added the progress bar right now. Okay, you can see the card view has loaded, and you can see the margin. You can see we are having two cards. Now if you try to click on the first card, you can see Shaka player with -js, and if you try to click on the second card, you can see the next title. See, that's all. So hope you understand how to do this. Now if you want the full source code of this project, you can go to the URL. I will give the link for this on the description. You can go to the URL on the description and you can download the source code from here. So we have seen how to implement RecyclerView on Android. We have seen how to fetch the data from the API, parse the JSON, and we are setting the data to the RecyclerView. So hope you understand everything. If you have any doubts, you can leave a comment and I will respond to everyone. So simply leave a comment. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel for more such videos.